Well, Katie, it's great to have you join us. We're so excited to have you back and have this conversation. Can you tell us when you graduated from Furman and what degree you got from Furman?
Sure. First of all, I'll say thank you for having me. It's fun to
Yes.
have this conversation with you as well. I graduated in 2003. I did my Bachelor of Music degree in vocal performance.
Do you remember what led you to choose Furman?
I wanted to go to a school with a really strong choral program. Choral music has always been a great passion of mine, and the Furman Singers drew me to Furman. I visited in my junior year of high school. I saw a Furman Singers concert. I looked, I saw how connected they looked with one another and how much they enjoyed singing together. And that was it. That was it.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. A lot of people mention that. I think for me, that was a big selling point too. I went to a Furman Singers concert. I think I already knew I was going to come to Furman, but I went to a Furman Singers concert my senior year when they were on tour and saw them, and that was a big kind of seal the deal moment for me too. Do you remember anything in particular that shaped your career path during your time at Furman?
I remember, well, first of all, I have to mention how supportive the faculty was of me when I was at Furman. And they just really nurtured my passion for music, my passion for conducting, my passion for music education. And though I ended up going the route of vocal performance, I did that as a result of a conversation I had had with a friend and mentor of mine, um, who gave me the advice, because as a conductor, you want to be the most proficient at your instrument that you can be. So if you want to be a choral conductor, go and study voice and become the strongest singer you can, and then take that knowledge in front of your ensembles. And so that's I made the shift from music education to vocal performance in my freshman year at Furman, and took as many conducting classes as Furman had to offer, and the guidance of the faculty, particularly uh, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Bill Thomas, who was the Furman Chamber Choir conductor and the department chair at the time. He was a strong guide and mentor who helped me just find my path and follow my path, and um, uh, helped me find my way, I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, I started out as a music education major too, and then changed to a vocal performance major. But I still took a lot of the education classes, which have been really beneficial to me in my career. And that's one of the things I think is great about Furman is that you can, even though you went the vocal performance route, explore a lot of other things that kind of make you a more well-rounded musician and person. Yeah. So what
Mm-hmm.
did you do after you left Furman?
So I went, after graduating from Furman, I went directly to Boston University and did a master's degree in choral conducting with Ann Howard Jones. Then I spent a few years in Boston teaching and performing and conducting. And then for in 2008, I went to the University of Missouri, Kansas City, where I got my Doctor of Musical Arts, also in vocal performance. And when I finished my coursework in 2011, I started applying for jobs. And that is what led me back to Atlanta. And I came back to Atlanta in 2011, and I started teaching at the Cobb County Center for Excellence in Performing Arts at Pebblebrook High School, Performing Arts Magnet Program, which was I spent a wonderful 8 years in that program and working with those students. And I taught a combination of voice and sort of using all my skills. So voice and conducting and diction and a little bit of music history slash music appreciation, and just had a wonderful time working with the students at Pebblebrook. And then 3 years ago, um, I came back to the high school that I attended in Atlanta. So I now teach at Paideia School, and which is in the city of Atlanta. And I have been there for this is my third year teaching in that school, and I teach um, elementary, junior high, and high school choruses.
Oh, wow.
So quite the age range,
Yeah.
getting to flex a lot of different muscles, which is a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So, how do you feel the DMA kind of affected your career path?
It was an interesting path because the DMA, I was applying for college voice teaching jobs. That's what I was applying for. That was sort of my intention at the time. And then the job opening at Pebblebrook came across my path, and I interviewed, and it just felt like the right fit. So it's just an interesting, you just never know. You never know what door is going to open at what time. And as I said, I loved being able to flex all of the different muscles at Pebblebrook. And the DMA training gave me advanced training in lyric diction, in operatic literature. I got to sing some opera roles, and of course, extended voice study, which then I turn around and use in front of my ensembles all the time. So it was an interesting, it's not the path, the sort of expected path of the DMA, but it's what came my way. And I am so pleased that it did. I mean, it just, I've learned to walk through the doors that are open to you, and sort of take a little bit from every option that's available to you. And that's what I've done throughout my career. And I've really enjoyed it.
I tell students that all the time. I mean, I knew probably when I was a Furman student that I wanted to teach college voice one day. That was kind of always a goal. But the path that I've taken to get to that point is not at all what I would have expected. So you just never know, and just kind of making the most of all the opportunities that are put in front of you are so important. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So what have been, this is kind of goes along with that, I guess. What have been some of the biggest surprises in your career?
Well, I have had the opportunity for, well, everything has been a little bit in flux here in the last 18 months
Right, right.
due to the COVID pandemic. But prior to that, I spent 4 years, well, backing up. Um, One of the biggest surprises that came my way, actually, the summer that I graduated Furman, I received an invitation to go teach on the voice faculty of the Boston University Tanglewood Institute, which has ended up being one of the threads that has really woven throughout my life and career. I spent 4 summers on voice faculty. I took a summer off and did some work and some singing in Italy. I went back the following summer and spent 4 more years teaching voice and some other academic classes. And then that was around the time that I came to Atlanta and I started teaching full time. And so I had a few summers off. And then I received an invitation to return to Tanglewood as the conductor of the Young Artist Chorus. And I have done that for 4 summers. The summers 15, 16, or sorry, summer 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and um, leading up to the 2020 when
Right.
everything changed. But that has been just a wonderful surprise. And through that experience, I've gotten to prepare for some of the guest conductors at the BSO and the Boston Pops. I got to prepare for John Williams one summer, and that was a thrill. That was really fun. We got to sing a couple of his film scores, and um, the students of the Boston University Tanglewood Institute chorus got to sing with him, and so we got a chance to work with him and meet him, and that was a lot of fun, and that was a big surprise that came my way. Yeah.
That's amazing. So this maybe that was it, but do you have a favorite career memory?
My favorite career memories are actually the ordinary times that I spend with my students. Those are the moments just in the middle of a class, in the middle of a rehearsal, when I see a light bulb click over a piece of music that has meant something to me, and I see the light bulb click in my students' eyes, ears, voices, hearts, faces. Those are my favorite career memories. Um, the one that comes to mind was is actually from one of my first years at Pebblebrook when we did Dr. Kilstoff's Gazing Up at Stars. That was a pleasure to bring to my students. We did it, we performed it several times at Pebblebrook, but I remember the first time that they connected with that poetry because that has always been a really meaningful piece to me. I was part of the chamber choir when we first performed that piece, and when I was at Furman, when I was a Furman student. And so then bringing it to my students and living through that text together and living through the beautiful chord progressions that Dr. Kilstoff just has, knows how to capture. Um, that was a really special moment. And then I think about just the ordinary times, singing the Haydn, The Heavens Are Telling, or singing Christopher Tin's Baba Yetu, or singing um, a new composition by Jocelyn Hagan, and getting a chance to FaceTime with the composer and just seeing that music come to life for my students. Those are my favorite teaching memories. When the light bulb clicks and a piece that has meant so much to me in my journey, then I pass that on to the next generation of musicians. That's really special to me.
Yeah. Do you find that kind of, I guess it's not really post-pandemic yet, but in these pandemic times that now that we've gotten so used to this kind of Zoom technology and everything, it's easier to kind of connect our world a little bit. I know I've brought some guest artists in to work with my students in my studio class that I never would have been able to bring to Furman, but they were available and we were able to connect via Zoom and kind of do classes that way.
That has been a really wonderful opportunity that we've had a chance to work and connect over, time zones and zip codes and across, continents. That has been really special. And also, I am so grateful for being in rehearsal together. Just the ordinary times and just a simple vocal warm up that we get to sing together now, and just singing through. The other day, I was with my students. The other day, I was with my students, and we were singing an arrangement of Bridge Over Troubled Water, which is just a fun song to sing, It's just a great song. And it just was so moving to me to be singing that song in the same room together. Sorry, my dog's really wants to be a part of this conversation. Um, but just ordinary times have become extraordinary because
Yeah.
we were apart for a year and we could not make music together. And so I'm just incredibly grateful now. I would like to think that I was grateful before, but being apart for 18 months has brought a new level of gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm back to teaching in my studio this semester. And that's something that like you never would think like to really enjoy, but like after having to teach in all kind of whatever larger space I could get in for a year, to be able to just have the convenience of teaching in my studio again is really, really nice. So
Yep.
that's been something that I'm not taking for granted now. So
And we're getting
so
used to singing with masks, and we're getting used
yeah,
to, being a little bit farther apart than maybe we used to, but that's okay. We're making it work. We're making music together in the same room, not via technology. It's actually
right.
happening live and in person. So I
Yeah.
am grateful for that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So teaching, you've kind of mentioned, is an important part of your career. What's your favorite aspect as an educator of the career?
Mm. The light bulb moments that I mentioned a minute ago. It's hard to think about anything else. That's that's my favorite part. I will also say I really love the unexpected that comes with teaching. You can have a plan, and sometimes you do all the things on the plan, and sometimes you just go in a completely different direction, or something brings a new challenge, or you think students will just really connect with a piece and they have a harder time connecting than you expected. So you have to reevaluate, okay, what made me connect to this piece and how can I help them connect to a piece? Or the opposite happens. Some days I'll think, well, this piece is fine, and the students are going, we love this piece, we love it, and I say, oh really? Well, maybe this is an amazing piece and I never thought about it that way. And so that part of the unexpected and just working with other humans and humans
Yeah.
who are at different stages along their journey, because as I said, I teach starting in the fifth grade, so I teach fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, all the way up through high school, and meeting each one of those humans on their journey and helping them to, you know, incorporate music into their life. Some of them may go on to careers in music, and if they do, I would love to help them. And some of them, many of them, will not. And that's great. I love having, I just think that it's so important for us as musicians to share our music with other people, whether it's through your career or through a hobby or a combination of the two. um, I think that that's just really, really an important part of music education, and bringing music into other people's lives, and then allowing myself to be changed by the music that they experience
Yeah.
is really profound for me as well.
I feel like I learn something every day from my students. Just kind of seeing how they experience things or how they relate to things, or it's a different way of thinking than maybe I would relate to things. So
Hmm.
yeah. So do you have a favorite Furman memory? This is always a hard one because everybody has too many memories.
I have so many favorite Furman memories. So I the one that comes to mind, one of the most special moments at Furman is when we were on Furman Singers tour. And I think Craig, I think you were on this tour, the tour to England, when we stood in the ruins. Were you on that tour?
No, I
The
wasn't.
Okay, forgive me then. Let me tell you about this beautiful moment that we experienced where we were standing in the ruins of the Coventry Cathedral next to the newly built, well, more recently built Coventry Cathedral. And we stood in the ruins and we sang Ubi Caritas. I believe we sang the Lords and Ubi Caritas. It may have been the Giraflay because we were singing them both on that concert tour. And just standing in a circle, and it happened organically. Nobody said, okay, we're going to do this now. Or if somebody did, I didn't hear it. To me, it just seemed to just happen. And I have since come to study the War Requiem quite a bit in my doctorate, and then I've taught the history of the War Requiem, and I've used that piece, and I've performed it several times with the Atlanta Symphony, and we've toured with it, and so that piece has been a huge part of um, my journey. And every time I cannot think of Britain's War Requiem without thinking of Coventry Cathedral, which also brings me back to the moments that we spent in the Coventry Cathedral ruins. And that's a really special Furman memory.
Yeah, bet. That's great. All right, so this is a tough one too. What advice would current Dr. Katie Wolf give to Furman's student Katie Wolf?
I think it would be, don't be afraid to follow the path when you feel like the path is meandering. I think there was a time when I was really set on this is the way it has to be. And I'm so grateful for the people in my life, um, the mentors that I had who said, take the door that's open, see where it leads you. Because what an interesting and fulfilling journey I've had and am having and continuing to have through music that I never could have imagined. There's no one way. The way is the path that is open to you. And so don't be afraid to find the path. And when you're not sure where the path is leading, don't be afraid to ask questions.
I think that's really good advice. I mean, I feel like that's such a Furman thing to be like very singularly focused on kind of what you think your path is going to be. So, even though Furman kind of it's that's kind of a crazy thing because Furman provides so many opportunities to kind of explore so many different things, but still we kind of get in our kind of lane and want to stay there. So that's really really great advice. Anything else you would like to tell fellow alumni or current Furman students?
I still sing the Furman fight song with great vigor and I enjoy it. And every now and then I'll teach it to my students. Even if they have no ambitions of going to Furman. But there are some humans out in the world who have learned the Furman fight song. All hail the white and purple.
And football's back. Football's back.
Is football back?
They had a few games last spring, but now they're having like a regular fall football season. So it was too hot in the spring for me to go, but I'm hoping to go in October to a game. So
Oh, Furman football games. I remember. I mean, I never had much time to go to football games because I was always in the practice room, right? Because that's sort of what
right, yeah.
music majors do. But every now and then we would get out there and go to a game and it was fun. All hail the white and purple.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Katie, thanks so much for joining us and sharing some of your experiences. I know a lot of people are going to find this helpful and interesting, and I look forward to sharing it with everyone.
Thank you so much, Craig. It's great to talk to you and
Great to
thank you for
talk to you.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely.